Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. $100 silver, unlikely anytime soon. Let's explore. There are many of you who probably would say $100 silver is a pipe dream at any point in time. And though I would normally agree, I like to keep an open mind as well. And when you take into account what silver has gotten to in the past, there could be an anomaly or some situation that could bring it to that level, valued in today's dollars. But it's unlikely anytime soon that silver will get that high. And I'm referencing an article from FX Empire where they said that it's ahead. And it says that silver invests over the past few weeks, it's been pretty challenging psychologically. And I would certainly agree with that. Many of these diehard silver enthusiasts, especially new to stacking silver, people sending a message through the silver squeeze and the like, many were thinking, hey, we do this and we keep doing it, it's going to drive the price up because the COMEX will have to capitulate or it'll be under this pressure, this squeeze. That there's only one reaction to that, and that is higher prices. But silver is an interesting entity as a commodity and as a monetary metal. Silver had to stand out in 2020, the article says, having gained about 47% in its best year since 2010. That easily outpaced gold's own impressive 25% return. But that's a little disingenuous because it's taken into account the massive drop in prices back a year ago now, just over a year ago, when silver dropped below $12 an ounce, which, by the way, was never realized. If you wanted to buy silver, that's when these premiums started skyrocketing. And so if you take that little blip in the case, yeah, it makes it seem like it's a very well-performing metal. But really, you should average it out and take away that dip in the prices, that massive drop, essentially a crash in the paper markets. Notwithstanding, it still did very well, though. So silver is down 9% for 2021 so far. Nearly all the fundamental market drivers have remained intact, and the pressures on silver prices are likely from two different angles. The first is after such an impressive 2020, it was due to correct, and that's what bull markets do. But in reality, the price of silver did not really spike all that much. I mean, it got up to $30 an ounce, barely, for a brief moment of time, but it pulled back pretty dramatically. Now, we would be considered still well ahead to where silver was back in 2019, but we still have a long ways to go to $100 for sure. And then we have the dollar index. We have rising long-term bond yields, and it is important to consider that this trend will also run its course and exhaust itself, and I do agree with that. It could happen naturally, or the Fed could intervene by imposing yield curve control. But higher yields are a sign of soaring inflation expectations and burgeoning economic activity. A stronger U.S. dollar which favors imports over exports is probably not a favored outcome for central planners. So patience is the best approach, and I do agree with them about this, is that patience is the key here when you're stacking silver, as you are going to see this volatility that silver embraces. In a recent report, Bank of America's commodity analysts indicated that they expect to see silver prices averaging about $29.28 per year, which is very close to my prediction of silver, by the way, as I predicted silver would end the year or at some point during the year go up between $30 and $35 an ounce. So if we're to average around $30 an ounce, or $29.28 in this case, I think it's quite appealing and exciting. It's based off their expectation that modest supply deficit of 281 million ounces. And so there you have it. And we know that there's a deficit of silver production, and there has been to a point for some time, but it's not had the great effect on the price of silver and the markets, the spot price. But we have a rebound in supply this year, as expected, and that should remain below the peak levels seen in a short while back, also because of the project pipeline is relatively empty at this point. But then we're going to have this infrastructure spending bill that's well over $2 trillion that Biden is pushing. And this green energy is a major component of this, and it will be a stalwart investment demand and should keep bid under the silver price and help it rise again this year. And it has retreated 19% since its August peak near $30, but that leaves room for it to get back up to that point. And I think it's quite possible that it could because of these things. But beyond that, I don't know that there's much motivation for it to climb much higher than that, especially within this year or even next year. And there you can look at the past charts and see where the past peaks were in silver, and you can make a bet. Of course, if you adjust it for inflation in 1980, silver prices peaked at $120. But by some levels of inflation, some would say even higher than that. I've heard as high as $200. In 2011, when it reached about $48 an ounce, well, that adjusted for inflation today, that's about $57. So today's price near $24 is still well below these levels, obviously, and it means that a lot of upside remains ahead. And a lot of that people think that upside is potential, but I think it leaves you more room for volatility. And that volatility is something that we have to take into account as accumulators of this metal. As we procure each and every ounce of this metal, we know that it is something that is to be held for the long term. And that's where we're going to see the benefits of stacking silver. And when you think about benefits, it's essentially the benefit is acting as a wealth preservation tool, freeze framing your value. Think of it in that terms, as that insurance policy, that hedge against inflation or economic instability, or both. So this is something to consider and to take into account where the silver price is going to move in the coming weeks, months, and even up to a couple of years. How will these policies be implemented politically in terms of infrastructure spending and investment into green energy projects? Well, we'll find out. But I think it's going to take a lot more drivers and a much more dramatic push in order to bring that price up into the $100 or triple digit area. And make no mistake, we have seen in the past economic downturns and inflation, and when that happens, well, the price of silver tends to drop. There was a little bit of a panic last year around this time, and we saw just that. And I posted a controversial video called The Path to $12 Silver. We very well could see that again, even at today's price, averaging out about, in the $24 range. We'll see what happens. It's anybody's guess, but there's going to be a push and pull. I think that is something that we can accurately predict. And that push and pull on silver's price volatility means that likely it's not going to rise to $100 anytime soon. But does that mean we should lose hope or lose faith in silver? No. I believe in accumulating it using the smart dollar cost averaging technique that I talked about in a prior video recently, so that you can average it out in the long run to be able to preserve your wealth, but also to diversify into an even greater wealth stabilization tool, and that is the asset of gold. Gold as money. Another way to diversify your wealth as well. So there you have it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about silver and its role in the coming weeks, months, and years as money and your thoughts about how soon we could see $100 silver. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch this video, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.